Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. It's Friday. It's time for the Rex and Robbie show. What's up, Rex?
What's going on, Robbie? I know you got a
Chilling.
busy weekend coming up with the Huntsville Con.
Yes, Huntsville Comic and Pop Culture Expo. Very excited. PCP will be there. We'll have a booth. Our panel is tonight at 7. We're closing out the show with Pop Culture Philosophers. Then tomorrow I'll be running panels with Kevin Eastman and Jim Starlin. And then Sunday's just a free-for-all. We got mystery boxes. My comic shop's going to be there. Other people are going to be there. It's going to be fantastic. I'm so excited. So excited.
It sounds like fun, brother. I'm glad you're going to be going to a con this weekend, and I can't wait to hear the report on Monday.
Yes. Yeah. I'll be like, Kevin Eastman, I offended him and he punched me off the stage and they kicked me out of the con. I'll just
make sure somebody gets video of that, bro.
Yeah, I'll make sure. All right. So tonight we got an interesting topic because it presented itself. Netflix reports losing over $50 billion after losing what, like 200 million subscribers or something like that. I got to make sure 220 million subscribers. They're still the leader. That's how many they have. We'll get some of these facts straight in a little bit, but that is what we're talking about today. Is Netflix in danger? Does this mean that other streaming services are in danger? Because this is apparently their biggest total loss in the last like 10 years, probably the company's history. I don't know, right?
I think interesting topic too, and very relevant. I think that Netflix has been in trouble for quite some time. I think we all knew that. When the property holders like Disney and others started their streaming service, I think the writing was on the wall. It clearly at some point Netflix was going to lose all these properties, which constituted a large chunk of it. Now, I think that the going theory at the time was that Netflix would be able to sort of survive this because of an international audience. If you've noticed through the last few years, and I don't know if you still have your Netflix subscription, but they have a lot of foreign language films. So that was something that could keep them relevant. But then I'm sure the war in Ukraine didn't help when they had to cut off, like, I guess, millions of Russian subscribers. So that pretty much put a ding there. But I think that if the pandemic didn't happen, this probably would have happened a lot sooner. I think they saw a bump because people were trapped in their houses with nothing to do. And we were just, every single one of us, if we weren't buying something from Amazon, we were just streaming, these streaming services to death, just looking for something to fill the time.
Yeah.
But I think that Netflix inevitably, if they couldn't produce their own content, which I think was kind of a long shot, a Hail Mary, if you will, because you look at Disney Plus, you look at Paramount, they already own a lot of the IP. So the fact that they already own it, starting its streaming service from a technological standpoint just requires money and time. So that's not insurmountable. If you have those two things, then you can create your own streaming service. Now, what's going to make somebody watch is the content. And if you don't own any of the content, then you're kind of like the movie theaters out there. So you're just a vehicle with which to deliver the content. All right. And obviously, again, this is like a slow motion accident. It shouldn't come as a surprise to Netflix. When Disney Plus came on the scene, and then, Paramount came on the scene, and HBO Max kind of switched the way that it did things. Invariably, what you saw was that these people that own the properties were going to create their own streaming service and take advantage of that and not use Netflix.
Yeah.
Now, it was going to take some time to transition because Netflix was the 800-pound gorilla on the block at the time. And obviously you have contracts, so you can't just pull stuff off of the streaming service, without notice, I'm sure. But I don't know. But do I think it affects other streaming services? I don't. I think that there's one very critical reason why that is, and that's because of, again, the pandemic and the fact that HBO Max, like I just saw Batman when it premiered April 18th on HBO Max, right? A lot of the series are coming in their own streaming services depending on what properties we're talking about. So I don't see streaming ending anytime soon. And I think that the other thing is that you're seeing how quickly Disney, Sony's another situation, but eventually it's going to end up, Spider-Man's going to end up on streaming services anyway. But I think that Disney is going full down that path. We're going to make a movie. Yes, we may release it in theaters, but it'll be a short window, and then we're going to move it to our streaming platform. And that's just the way it's going to be going forward. And I think that there is a market for that. It's an interesting conversation that Amy and I always have. There's always going to be a market like Amy, who wants the big theater experience, and wants to be there the first night it's shown. And you're always going to keep that audience. Now, how are you going to keep that audience? Well, they're already doing it. You got nice wide lounge chairs in movie theaters. It's not like, you and I have discussed before. It's not like the good old days where, there's about an inch of dried up soda stuck to the floor, and you can't walk down an aisle without sticky and crunching popcorn dropped on the floor. You can't do that anymore. Okay, you got to give these people something that's worth their money. But then you're going to have old guys like me. And even before the pandemic, I wasn't going to movie theaters a lot. It'd have to be something very significant to drag me out to a movie theater, or, my young nephew, he wants to see something in the movie theaters, that kind of thing. So you've lost us. If I know for a fact that you're going to this format like Disney Plus has, then I'm not going to the movie theater. Okay, especially with all these new movies. They're 2.5 hours long, man. I got to take a pee break. I'm sorry. I'm an old guy. I take diuretics for my blood pressure, right? Yeah. So there's no way I'm sitting through 2.5 hours. And I'm pretty sure the movie theater isn't going to pause the movie for me, okay, and make the other 100 people wait while I go to the bathroom. So it's easier for me to watch it at home, because if I got to go, I can just pause it and I'll be back. So in terms of streaming, that's obviously the wave of the future. How does it evolve and adapt? I don't know. That's probably going to be more technology based than anything else. But Netflix, I think, has a big problem, and some of it is self-inflicted. Like telling everybody, all right, we're not going to let you share passwords anymore, and we're going to raise our price tiering. And now you got to backtrack and say, well, maybe we'll have cheaper versions of it, or we'll have versions of it with commercials. That's not the problem. Yeah. That's granted, by raising the prices when they did, they accelerated the process. A lot of people are like, oh, well, I'm not doing that. Now we're forced to deal with it. But how many things do you pay every month that you probably don't even use, and you forgot you're paying it every month until it gets dinged on your credit card, and you're like, oh, I got to remember to cancel that. And then another month goes by and you get the bill going, oh man, I got to cancel that. Yeah. And when you raise the prices, you force us to deal with it. So I think that has had a lot to do with the shedding of subscribers. Yeah. But ultimately, this is they need to find some way. And I don't know that trying to create your own content is going to work.
They tried that, right? And so I get from the Collider interview or article here. Let's see. It says between January of this year and March, the company lost 200,000 subscribers. It expects to lose another 2 million between April and June. And he says it's partly to be blamed on great competition, is what the co-CEO says, as well as the crackdown on an estimated 100 million households who share their passwords without additional payments. Now, what's crazy that I've seen, and obviously the answer to the big question is, I don't think streaming services are in trouble whatsoever. Netflix is. And like you said, this has been a slow crawl to this moment. Yes. And you can all see it coming, because as soon as these other companies saw Netflix's growth, they were like, we want in on that. We're losing money right now in the theaters. That's been declining. I mean, people have been talking about just like the death of comics, people talk about the death of movie theaters, and it has definitely waned. We live in a world now where physical media isn't prioritized. Right. And I know people that get very upset when they're like, why am I paying for the streaming service when I can't find the movie I want to watch? Right. Even if they went and saw the Batman in theaters, a lot of people were excited to dive back in. Like, I'm ready to rewatch it just to see what it's like in a different setting, a second viewing.
What you might have missed, Yeah. I mean,
And I don't want to go back to the. Yeah, and I don't want to go back to the theater and sit there for 3 hours. I did that once. And then the other cost, like what's making my own popcorn versus buying popcorn up there, which, as much as I love that experience, but Netflix has lost all that stuff. And so I see a lot of blaming on the customer base. Oh, well, there's other competition and people are sharing their passwords and that's what's going on. Sharing the passwords is what helped start really accelerating their growth.
Well, yeah,
right?
no, I totally agree with what you're saying. And I guess, that statement in and of itself, you would think would have come from Washington, D.C. It sounds like a politician's kind of response, because it doesn't hold water. Because if you're saying that by cracking down on subscribers sharing their passwords, and that's causing you to shed subscribers, that should be the opposite. Because if that's a real problem that's costing you money, then cracking down on it should increase subscribership, because the guy who was using, his friend's Netflix, well, now I got to get my own. So it should have the opposite effect. Otherwise, why are you doing it? Because clearly it's harmful to the bottom line of the company. So that, I think, is a disingenuous statement in and of itself. Okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me. But beyond that, I think that they've made their own missteps. Okay. Raising of the prices, the timing of it, cracking down on sharing of passwords, that type of thing. But more than that, the only hope that they had was to create their own content. And it's not that the content they've created is bad, I don't want to say, but what's interesting to me, and this one, and there have been several, but they don't come to mind, but this one comes to mind almost immediately. Cowboy Bebop. I enjoyed it. It was a good series. I was looking forward to a series too. And they canceled it. Why?
And for instance, they canceled it before I had a chance to check it out. So now I'm like, why do I want to commit to watching the show that I know has been canceled?
Right. So that, and what was the other one? Similar to The Boys.
Jupiter's Legacy.
Yeah, Jupiter's Legacy. I watched the first series of that. I want to say I kind of walked away with it with kind of a Moon Knight-ish impression, in the sense that it was a little clunky. The storyline sometimes didn't work, but it was engaging enough that I wanted to watch another season. And you canceled that. So you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. You have things that are I think will work and will enough for me to say, you know what? Yeah, I'll pay the monthly subscription, to watch another episode of Jupiter's Legacy or to watch another season of Cowboy Bebop. But you eliminated that.
Yeah.
So now you're giving us less and less reasons. So already you're kind of behind the eight ball, and every decision I feel like that they've made up to that point has only accelerated the problem, hasn't really solved anything. So you can blame good competition. Well, yeah, you didn't see that coming. I mean, right. Disney's taking all their stuff back. You didn't see that coming. That was a surprise to you.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not a Wall Street guy. I'm not a hedge fund manager, and I saw that coming. Like, wow, they really got problems now. What are they going to do?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, and we've talked about this before too. And their Netflix's release strategy is puzzling to me. Like, Disney Plus has got it right. Like, they know exactly who their audience is, and they do hit a very wide, general audience, right? Netflix has things that work in specifics for certain people. Like, other people are into, they have super dramas, they got comedies, they got reality programming, and people like that kind of stuff, right? And they still got a lot of kids shows. A lot of people I know that with kids still keep their Netflix accounts. They never use it, but it's for their kids because there's a lot of content there. But then think about what Disney has. Think about what Paramount Plus has, because they got a lot of the Nickelodeon stuff. So they got Turtles. You know what I'm saying? So they got lots of interesting stuff, but they're released Disney knows what they're doing, because they go Hawkeye into Moon Knight, into Moon Knight's going to end soon, and it's going right into Obi-Wan's coming soon. You know what I'm saying? Right. You had the Book of Boba Fett in there. They have one of these shows kind of just stringing into each other to keep people going, and they release them weekly so that everybody's talking about it at the comic shop, on the weekend, on the internet.
That's the key. I think that a while back they should have recognized that dropping an entire season at one time, and somewhere down the line somebody should have had a focus group on this, but dropping the entire series at one time instead of spreading it out, as you say, kills the buzz. All of a sudden you're encouraging people to stream, and I personally don't like streaming. What ends up happening is if I don't have the time to stream, then what I'll do is watch 2 or 3 episodes, but I may never go back to it. If it isn't tremendously engaging, I may never go back to it.
Yeah.
And if it ends on an episode where I'm just really not that engaged, then the odds of my never going back to it are very, very high.
Yeah.
But when you do it, like, I'll be honest, my Moon Knight impression is so far, but I'm going to watch it. All right. I'm going to watch it in the hopes that it's going to get better somehow. And maybe at the end of the season, I'll be like, it didn't really impress me. But
it's not like you wasted a whole day initially, right? You may have wasted 6 hours, like at the end of Moon Knight, if you don't like it. You may look back and be like, that's 6 hours of my life, but it's not 6 hours in one day.
Well, more than that, I'll tell you, more than that, you're keeping me engaged. So whether it's I loved it or I hated it, you're keeping me engaged in that, all right, no, maybe next week's going to be better. But the problem with the way Netflix is doing it by dropping the entire series at one time so you can binge it is that I don't have to wait. So I'm less likely. So I'll get, let's say Netflix drops an eight episode series all at one time. I get to episode 4 and it's just not getting any better. I'm thinking, you know what? I ain't wasting another 4 hours on this. Okay. But there isn't time to process and think, and there isn't time. How do I put it? So with Moon Knight, so I got about 1 episode behind. So I have not seen the latest episode. I guess that's 4, right? So I got up to 3, and there's things and, at night, whatever. So I'm going to catch up sometime, maybe even tonight, right? Catch episode 4. And irregardless of whether I like it or not, I'm committed to watch it to the end. Okay. And the difference is with Netflix, as you say, I don't have 6 hours at one shot, right? So even if I can carve out that amount of time, it doesn't really fit my schedule.
Yeah.
And it's a lot to watch. I feel a little bit burned out by a story when I watch, when I try to binge something.
And didn't they cancel Cowboy Bebop like a week or 2 in? Right?
I think it was a little longer than that, but it doesn't really matter because if you're going to drop the whole season, you also have to measure out that time. Okay. There are people who are probably not going to binge watch and going to watch 1 episode at a time. Now, whether it's several days straight or once a week, whatever the case may be. But as you say, you're a perfect example. If you're going to drop the whole thing and then cancel the show not too long after, well, why should I go back and watch it now?
Yeah.
There's not going to be an episode, or a season 2.
Yeah. And so you missed that buzz building, right? Like imagine like if I haven't seen Cowboy Bebop, but you said you liked it. I know a lot of people that did like it. Yeah. Imagine 3 weeks in, people start hearing more and more, this Cowboy Bebop show's really good. Then they're going to hop on there, catch up, and they don't want to miss. We all have this FOMO sometimes. We don't want to miss the water cooler talk. We don't want to miss the conversation topic of the day or the week, And the other thing is Netflix. Okay, I don't know what their most popular shows are or how it ranks. But to me, like, I'm a huge fan of Umbrella Academy. And obviously Stranger Things has got to be one of their biggest shows ever, right? Stranger Things season 4 is about to drop. So we're about to have another article in June when that drops about how they've gotten more subscribers. They've rebounded, right? Because people are jumping in just to binge that. And then they dip out, and they're like, now I'm going to keep my Disney or my Paramount or my HBO Max because every week I got some new content that I'm wanting to get into. But like Stranger Things season 3 came out 3 years ago. And I know there's the pandemic halted a lot of production on things, but how many shows has Marvel and HBO released since? I
got to tell you that's very relevant as well. So I'll give you an example. One show that I started watching, and it was already like 5 seasons in, The Expanse. And I binged it, man. Over the course of several days, I watched every episode and just, at the recommendation of a friend. And when it ended, when the final season, I think it was season 5, I want to say, ended, it had engaged me enough that I wanted to watch more. But then all of a sudden, it took years for the next season to come out. Well, guess what? I haven't gone back to look. All right, because there are two problems. Number one, I've forgotten everything that happened. It's been, several years since I watched that. So I'm not going back and watching five more seasons again to catch up. So this is relevant to me. So you lost me. There's too much time in between. You've lost me. Okay. But if you release it, whether it be weekly or whatever, then the time from the last impression that I had to the time that the next season starts is a shorter time frame. And another big mistake with Netflix, and this is a personal observation on my part, just my own, streaming behavior. What I found is that because there's less things I watch on Netflix, I log into the channel less, which means I have less opportunity to kind of pick up on a show that I may not have heard about or may not have watched, but it was just interesting enough because I'm browsing, right? I'm just sitting there browsing on the channel. I find I spend a lot more time on HBO Max. I spend a lot more time on Disney Plus. And you're going to lose just by not being in the room, you're losing people.
Yeah.
Like myself. Like I can't imagine back in the day, there was tons of Netflix movies that I never heard about, never really thought about watching, but I'm on the Netflix channel and I'm flipping through and I'm like, oh, this looks interesting.
Yeah.
I'll take a shot at this. So you're losing that as well. And it really has come to the point that it's become less and less relevant for me to be on Netflix. And I may cancel depending on what happens going forward. I'm really kind of pissed off about Cowboy Bebop. And what's funny is my subscription HBO Max was HBO first before they turned it into HBO Max was purely for Game of Thrones. It was worth it. And then I thought, after Game of Thrones, I'm going to cancel it because there's really nothing else I want to watch there. But then they started to put other stuff up. I'm like, I kind of want to see that, so I'm not going to cancel this month. Okay. And then the next month, I kind of want to see that too, so I'm not going to cancel it. And then next thing you know, it's years and years and years. When did Game of Thrones go off the air?
Yeah, it's been a while, right?
It's been a while, right? So every month of every year between then and now, I keep doing that.
Yeah.
Netflix has given me no reason to engage like that anymore.
Exactly. Cobra Kai is another one of my favorites, and they drop that like once a year, but like I can watch that. I do binge that. I get it done pretty much in a day. And then like I think that's the last time I even watched Netflix was when the last Cobra Kai came out. Right. And we do these movie reviews every week, and I do the horror show every week. So we're talking about multiple movies on this channel every week. And one of the questions we get is, ahead of time is we try to find where it's streaming so that people can go and watch it and then come in and join us for the conversation.
Right.
All the time, like especially with some of the horror films, they're not streaming somewhere or they're on Shudder. And if you're a horror fan, Shudder's like, there you go, right? Like that's got plenty of content that you want. But most of the time it will be on Amazon Prime. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be on HBO Max or Disney Plus, especially if it's newer, but never is it on Netflix? Never. And it used to be like, that's where you would go. You would sit there. I would sit there for sometimes almost 30 minutes, just going through Netflix and all the stuff. That's just that whole thing for me is gone. It's out the window. And, Disney and HBO Max, they obviously got the catalog, right? So they got that. Netflix still has a catalog, but not like they do. Then you have the addition of like, say, Amazon Prime. Most people, like me, I have Amazon Prime. It's because I order a lot of stuff from Amazon and I like free shipping. And it's just a bonus that that's there as well, And then with Paramount Plus, first of all, I'm a Star Trek fan. And so I keep Paramount Plus alive just so that I can watch my Star Trek shows, right? The ones I don't have physical copies of or the new shows. By the way, the new season of Picard sucks. But I also had Paramount Plus for sports because like I don't have cable. My antenna does not pick up my local channels. So I have Paramount Plus just so that when the Cowboys are playing on CBS, I can just stream it because it's easier than trying to get my like antenna, like trying to pick up some staticky signal that some archaic relic of another time,
It just feels like everything that they're doing, they haven't really thought through. And they really haven't, how do I put this? They haven't reacted to what the viewers want. And I'll give you one very just basic example. And I don't know if this happens on however you stream Netflix. I get all my streaming through a Roku box, right? And now when I go on the next Netflix page, if you're too long on something, it automatically runs a preview.
Oh, I hate that.
And I hate that.
Oh yeah.
It's like I just happen to stop at that one. I don't want to see the preview. And it doesn't always work because I'll come down and there'll be like something I want to see a preview on and nothing happens. You know, it's like you have to engage me the old way, okay? Let me look at the poster. Let me read the description, okay? Then I'll click the preview. I don't want you clicking the preview for me automatically, you know? And I know it seems like such a small thing, but I want to say that I believe that that's contributed to my not kind of just browsing their page more often. Yeah. Because I find that so annoying, you know, like, well, you know, maybe I'll look, maybe I won't, you know, whereas Disney Plus or HBO Max, they do it the old fashioned way, you know, show me a poster, you know, give me a description, you know, I mean, sure, there are shows that I know I'm here to watch, like Batman. I don't need a preview. I don't need whatever. I know exactly what it's about. You know, I know that I want to watch it. But then there are those movies that I don't know. And I'll browse and just kind of look at the picture, read the description. And, you know, if I really want to see something more, I'll hit the preview button. All right. So it just feels like Netflix is not adapting to the new situation. And maybe that makes sense. Maybe that they were in such control of the market for so long that they didn't really have to do anything in reaction to the market. But now they're faced with stiff competition and they're the underdog. Yeah. You don't have the properties. So you've got to somehow differentiate yourself from the rest of the pack. And right now you're not doing it other than canceling shows people like. The release format is wrong. Okay. Yeah. And even little things like the automatic previews, you know, so they're not helping themselves. You know, there are certain realities we all understand that were going to occur when the big companies, you know, like Disney chased after their own streaming platform. But, you know, Netflix is not doing anything to help itself. You know, it's like, you know, you shoot yourself you get shot and then you shoot yourself in the foot. It's like, well, that's not going to help. You're just going to bleed faster, you know, and it kind of feels like that's what Netflix is doing.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to know you, the viewer. We want to know your opinion. Be sure to comment below. You'll also be entered to win the contest automatically by commenting and sharing your thoughts. And we'll announce that winner on Monday's show over at The Experience, which just crossed 1K subscribers. We have a good time there every Monday night with Rex and John and the crew, and always having good chats with the people in the community as well. Check this out. This is also from the Collider article, and it says, in spite of all of these losses, Netflix is still the global leading streamer with over 220 million subscribers. And the following months will determine how investors as well as subscribers regard the platform's changes. And because they're also, they're toying around with the idea of doing like a smaller subscription amount but it has ads, kind of like what Hulu does and stuff. And then Hastings, who's the co-CEO, I think, said on Variety, I know it's disappointing for investors, and it is for sure, but internally, we're really geared up, and this is like our moment to shine. This is when it all matters. We're super focused on achieving objectives and getting back into our investors' good graces. That's nice. How about getting back into your customers' good graces? And that's where you're going to start seeing this growth, right? So it seems like overall, Rex, what we've determined, Netflix could really they need to focus on good original content delivered in a timely way to the viewership, as well as a strategy of releasing those things so that you keep people engaged week to week. Have Stranger Things go into Umbrella Academy. Like, have Umbrella Academy lead into the second part of Stranger Things. Have that go into, you know, whatever is popular. Like, shows get immensely popular on Netflix, and then they do, like, Tiger King. Nobody talks about it anymore, but that's all anybody talks about. Squid Game. That's all anybody Cobra Kai. But then it just fizzles away. Yep. People are still talking about the series that are building upon each other over at Disney. You know, we still are talking about Peacemaker because we spent more of our time with those properties. So they need a better release strategy. They need better content. And I don't think they need to raise their prices whatsoever. They've already raised the price. Now they're trying to say, if you're going to share your password, that's cool. We'll allow you to do that. They're testing this in smaller markets globally right now. where you pay basically another subscription fee. I'm like, wait a second. So you're saying to add another person, you basically have to add, like, pay double? Or like, that's ridiculous. Maybe like if it was like $5 per extra account outside of the household or something like that, but it's obviously not working. So,
well, yeah, it's obviously not working. And you know, the unfortunate part of that is if you were in a position that Disney Plus is in, you might be able to get away with it. But in the current position that they're in, you really can't get away with this. Okay. I mean, you're shedding subscribers, and I think it's going to get worse, to be honest with you. You're not making good content decisions. So, you know, these things are not a good combination, in my opinion, you know? So I don't know where they're going to go from here. I will tell you that if they start tiering the pricing that involves commercials, I'll probably just cancel straight out, because there's nothing left there that I really must have. And if you're going to add commercials to it just so I could save a couple of dollars, I'd rather just save all of it, you know, and find a different streaming service that may have one or two things that I want. But yeah, you're really not leaving us too many options. And I've been a Netflix subscriber for years. I mean, years and years and years. So
you may be like me and go back to the DVDs and the mail days. That's how far I go back.
Yeah. Well, who didn't do that, right?
I loved that. I thought that was great.
Which I think is interesting, because certainly that precipitated the downfall of Blockbuster. So they've been on the opposite side of that fence. I find it, you know, I'm sure it's an entirely different executive staff now, but I'm surprised that they didn't learn anything from that, you know, because now you're Blockbuster and you better be careful, you know, because it could turn south on you very, very quickly. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, you know, I hope that there's a shakeup and there's someone with a little bit more vision that's going to come out and steer it right. But man, you know, it's getting late in the game. You know, I think that's a big problem too.
You can tell that they're kind of thinking about it too, because like Stranger Things season 4 is being released in 2 parts separately. And I'm like, that's a good try, but you should have done it episode to episode, because then people would be like, there would be YouTube shows of people doing like episode 1 reaction to season 4 of Stranger Things, and everybody would want to be talking about it and doing bits on their shows and stuff.
Right. Exactly.
Instead, everybody's just going to watch it in a day, wait a month, watch it again, and then be done. You know,
be done with it. And it's unfortunate, because I think they've had some good content, some successes, but you know, at this point in time, I think they're pretty much their own worst enemy. So yeah, exactly. They need some better content, and they need a good strategy for that. So real quick, tomorrow night on Dylan's Horror Show, they're talking about X. I may pop in for a little bit, but it's going to be a busy day, but I love this movie, so I'm really excited for that. On Monday night, we're doing Dick Tracy for PCP Movie Night, which you can find not on Netflix, but on Amazon Prime. So there you go. Primary Colors. I remember that movie.
Oh, I love that movie so much. Such a crazy cast, like a brilliant cast, great makeup. Oh my goodness.
It really was. I really enjoyed it, believe it or not. But I also wanted to mention tonight's original art show, 7 to 8 Eastern, there will be a giveaway, and the giveaway actually will be an original piece of art. Batman, I believe. So all you guys do is tune in to the experience from 7 to 8 tonight to be eligible to enter that contest to win a piece of original art.
That's fantastic. Speaking of contests, comment below, enter the contest. Winner will be announced on Monday's show, and we have 2 winners to announce today because we didn't do the drawing on Monday. So we have 2 different ones. So which one are we doing first here, Rex?
All right, let's do, this is Red Sonja. Let me see. Red Sonja, I'm trying to find, what issue number is it? I think it's 4. Yeah, Red Sonja number 4, and it is Todd McFarlane homage, and it is a metal cover, which has been real popular with Dynamite fans out there. So it is an aluminum alloy. It is not foil. You can see that reflection. It is hard metal. This is me trying to bend it. Okay, so this is the prize for winner number 1.
All right, and this will be the winner from last week's show. This is who we should have drawn on Monday, but we didn't because Rex was out. So we're going to draw that. The winner is, and this is from last week's show about, what did we talk about? I don't even remember what we talked about now. We talked about something. All right, let's see. The comment will let me know, I'm sure. Let's see. Spinning the wheel. I am 123. I was amazed by how little promotion Stargirl Season 2 and Doom Patrol Season 3 got. What was the topic last week? Why can I not think about it? DC Entertainment doesn't need an overall. That's what it was.
That's what it was.
That's a good, little promotion for some of their stuff. So I am 1, 2, 3. I will have to reach out to them, and they are the winner of that awesome prize.
And you will email me when you get the info?
Absolutely. And now we got another contest, and this will be from the people who are involved in the chat on Monday's show. What do we got there?
Awesome. All right, so this is Sheena Queen of the Jungle number 2. Also with the McFarlane homage. Let me bring it down here. Also a metal cover.
Wow.
So this is aluminum alloy again. You can see the reflection. So this is prize for winner number 2.
All right. Clicking the button. Dwayne Zapane.
Oh, Dwayne Zapane. Awesome.
There you go.
Very good. Congratulations, guys.
So be sure to join us for the experience. And like I said, comment below. Let us know what you think. What is the future of Netflix? Is it in trouble? Can they rebound? Or anything else you want to say? Just comment below. You may win an awesome prize. And we'll announce that winner on Monday night at the experience. Super excited for that show as usual, Rex. Thank you so much for joining us again, Rex. This has been another
pleasure, Robbie.
Great conversation. We could go for another hour about this, complaining about Netflix. But
complaining about anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, you have fun at the con. Don't buy more than you sell, though. That's always the kiss of death.
That happens sometimes. So, okay. Don't get high on your own supply. We're dipping out, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us. Station.